Alright. And it looks like the boys have kicked off already. Good evening everyone, looks like we're going. Let me just get the stream ready here. Here we go. Alright. So it's the Rapid Battle final. Akshak, who playing white, has come from the top bracket, and some Rapid player has played their way all the way through the lower bracket to get back into the grand finals. This is going to be four games with 10 plus 10, and then if required we're going to be playing a 3 plus 2 tiebreak as well. Right off the bat, these guys are moving pretty quick. So previously we caught the lower bracket grand final as well, and we saw some Rapid player take out My Name is Mund, and that was quite a game. I really enjoyed the second game, especially where there was a Vienna on the table, and it was quite a masterclass, to be honest. I don't want to spoil everything for you, so you can go have a look, but it was well worth the watch. As for this game, interesting. I do see that Akshak is clearly a very strong player. 240. It was with 2,400, 2,400. That's very, very strong. So some Rapid players going to have their work cut out for them to try and get a game off of him in this game. And immediately we can also see white has really taken up space in the center. Hey, very aggressive, no castle, just pushed all the pawns, D, E, F pawns straight up the board, breaking through. Black might have to make some plans here. Take this pawn, what they take back with their queen. Things are getting dicey straight off the bat. Very, very aggressive opening by white indeed. They are moving rapidly, as you say, very, very quick. Alright, white does the castle. Yo, I just get my lips sorted out. It is so cold again tonight. Get a bit of warm tea in me. I think she'd feel better. E6 by black. White looking to stop the pawn from coming forward, potentially playing d5 themselves. And obviously if white takes, that opens up the black dark square bishop as well. I don't know, I don't think taking really helps black that much. This pawn on e5 is going to be a bit of a problem for them to deal with because of the knight jump. Although you could jump to right, one of the other directions, it's not impossible. Blacks just use their time to open up their queen side first, so let's see. Alright, white has pretty much finished their development as well now. I was looking at this take earlier on as well. There's nothing there just yet, well, actually there would be, wouldn't there? Well, no, you would stop with your queen. But you could do this way. That could be troublesome. Obviously though, white's light square bishop is hanging right now. Alright, just taking it out. No more light white square bishop for you. Black still has theirs. Looking in on the king side. Oh, interesting. And white takes back with the c pawn, opening up the e file completely. Potentially giving him another pawn to help control the center with, although that's interesting. I guess this was just to avoid, well, no. I'm actually not really sure what is this. This is just because they're scared that black opens up the file there and then it becomes a bit difficult. Maybe white doesn't want to trade off too many pieces or too many queens or something similar. Oh, very interesting. If you take and give white a very strange mid-pawn structure. A totally open file, and that would be a half-open D file as well. Goodness me. What do we expect from this? 1 second, I just have to see what I'm doing here. I'm selecting this one. Correct. Thank you very much. Oh, I mean, I gotta vote for the underdog, right? It's hard to vote for the player who's clearly very strong, so I'm a little bit biased. I am cheering for black, I guess. At least I want to see a tight fight, not a wash. I can also see here what white is just threatening to, well, I guess they wouldn't take with the pawn. Just take with the knight. So black could either drop the pawn, get their king to safety, push the pawn. Well, no, actually this still forks, obviously, so that doesn't work. So you can't protect this with anything else. Or you can jump your knight in, I guess. So jump the knight. If they push it, you're going to have to jump your knight somewhere else. And this would be an intermezzo because it comes with check. A very strong move by white coming in here. What to do, what to do. And they've got their dark square bishop still keeping the diagonal behind the pawns and knights fairly safe. Is it that good for white if you trade off your light square bishop for that knight though? Take here. I guess the point being that your knight can't go anywhere. Alright, black says I'm going to defend here, but what happens after g4? What happens after g4? Do you then take light square bishop first? And if they take back, you can take the dark square bishop. And if they take your knight, you can take what? The next one? Or you can take back this way with your light square bishop instead. Is black baiting g4 here? Tight, they haven't castled yet. This is dangerous, guys. You gotta get off the starting square with the king. Yo. Yeah, Tronzo, I hear you, man. The light square bishop, I mean, they put it out early and it's got a lot of scope down that file, but down the diagonal. But it's not actually doing anything just yet. White is still the one coming with the aggression. They've castled, they've connected their rooks, their development is finished, and they've got an e5 pawn and a knight looking to jump and take d5, d6 with check even potentially, or jump into f6. There might be some tricks around that side as well, because you'd have to lose your dark square bishop. Hey Claudius, thanks for joining us, man. It's Rapper Battle final time. Good morning. Did I mention I'm a vegan? That's very good. I like that name a lot. That's really cool. You did not mention you're a vegan, but I'm assuming that's the case then. Morning. It's 6 p.m. my side, but I assume you're in Americas then. So good morning on your side. Black thinking a bit after knight f5. So I originally thought that g4 would be a problem, but it looks like you could potentially, after g4, trade off light square bishop for knight and kind of defuse the situation. And then there would be a lot less pieces on the board, and white's pawn structure would be interesting. I think would be not a completely unfair way to put it. Very, very interesting. Where to go? Alright, well, we're assuming white can definitely make a plan, right? I don't think they just woke up one day, accidentally won a few games, became 2400, so they'll be coming up with something. Maybe they're trying to think of a way to force g4 and not go wrong. 6 in the morning. No, it's 6 in the evening. I would not get up at 6 in the morning to stream. I'm not that dedicated. Oh, what? Okay, so white just looked through it, and they do go, okay, black does take the knight with the light square bishop, like we thought. And black takes back. Okay, so this is basically what I saw. So now black and castle, and white's just got like a really strange pawn structure. Their king is not open because there's less pieces on the board, and they've got E, F, G pawns all on the 4th rank. Black can trade off one of their pawns first. Actually, there's no immediate check. What happens if black just takes E5 here? Is white going to try push through and like sack a pawn just to get their rook open? Yeah, no worries. But for the record, I'm not waking up at 6 in the morning to stream. I'm having a nap. I'm really enjoying streaming, but 6 a.m. is a bit intense. I will wake up at 6 in the morning, go do some activities though. I used to wake up a bit earlier to go hiking and stuff around the Kansai area where I live. There are some amazing mountains. Really nice, but they're a little bit far out, so you have to take a train for like an hour and a half, and we all met up at the train station, took the closest person's car. Yeah, very different story though. Very different story. Alright, so for black now, what? Do you castle? Do you take the e5 pawn? If you take the e5 pawn, black obviously loses a tempo potentially with one of the rooks coming onto d1 hitting the queen. So maybe you don't want to do anything. You just want to get your king out to safety right now. Just run for the hills. Just make sure you're safe. I see Gavilanche is watching from the Leech's side as well. Gavilanche, a very active member of the community, always lurking in the background checking out the games. I think actually, I don't know if there's some way to check. I think we took off the feature from Leeches. Was it last year or even earlier? You can't see how many people are being followed and all that stuff, how many followers you have, but you can see when your kind of friends or followers on the people you follow on Leeches are following someone else, their activity, right? Or they like a new setup. And Gavilanche just follows so many people. He's so active in the community, trying to keep track of so much. Maybe he's kind of like an undercover policeman in a way, you know? Alright, I didn't see this. White just says, who needs a pawn structure? I'm just gonna open things up. They also didn't win the tempo on the queen, interestingly enough. So I guess they don't specifically care about it. They can always win it afterwards. And maybe it's not that important because black obviously is going to move their queen at some point anyway. Although you will notice that the black queen, you know, there's none of this actually. All of these squares are being taken care of. White's got a fair bit of control around the board. So black, although maybe, you know, classical game, 60 minutes on the clock, would eventually probably win, I guess. There is no such clarity here right now. This could go very wrong very quickly. Okay, black says let me insert h5. Is the threat to take g4? I mean, your queen can't get in there. Okay, and white actually just says thank you very much, I will take more control. So they still control everything. Now they actually cover off these squares, right? So very forward. They do have a jump with their knight as well, although I don't think there's anything there just yet. This doesn't help. Their knight actually can't get to the squares. I don't know where they're going to go. Black finally decides to castle now that the kingside position has been blocked up, so no more pawns can break. Black's the only one that has a pawn break on the kingside, so I understand that. Feels a bit safer. Yeah, I'm thinking for white, is there a way to get their knight in there? They can obviously take control of the files here. They're the first one to move if they want to. Alright, they take the c file first. So again, they don't want to give black... They don't want to win the tempo on the queen because it's not actually a win, right? Black is going to move their queen anyway, so why give it to them? Yeah. Making the bishop look a bit silly. Fair enough, it's not like it's staring into the abyss though, right? It's still got a little bit of action. It's pushing on that pawn, and that pawn is defended by the knight, and the knight is probably not going to want to stay on f3 forever. So we'll have to see. Yeah, it does look very open indeed. Although the... What does black say? You know what, actually maybe I'm a little bit biased here because I see the strength of white. I would be so scared to start trying to grab pawns. Or, but maybe this is just a way for them to win a little bit of a tempo with the queen. Now they oppose the c-files. Yeah, on black side, obviously, if you can trade off in the long run, things should be okay for you, right? White's kind of completely destroyed their structure. It's going to be difficult for them to take care of all the pawns and all the weaknesses with a queen and a knight if you start trading off the rooks. Although white could do exactly that. They could trade c takes 8, and then when the other rook takes back, they can push the other rook over because the queen's defending it. But that doesn't really help much. They can't get in anywhere that's useful. They have to find a way to make their knight do something. You know, like the d6 square is obviously really strong, but we'll have to see. Yeah. Rip bishop. No, I don't know. I don't know if the bishop is actually ripping anything right now. This pawn is weak, right? So the bishop, as soon as the knight moves, the bishop can take it. The bishop can always come out on the other file behind it. And in the same moment, if you put the bishop here, for instance, it's hitting the other pawn, and it's still keeping watch over this square, which is, I don't know, I want to say critical square, but it isn't really, because there's no immediate way to make it that important. So it looks like white might have overplayed their immense aggression. We'll see. Black says let's trade some pawns, trying to liquidate the queen side a little bit. In no hurry to trade. Very happy for white to take and take back. White equally, if you want to take back. Obviously in this case the person who decides to take the opposite rook initiates the trade but ends up with zero, well not zero presence, but ends up losing their presence on the c file. For black, the other rook is doing nothing but defending the f-pawn, although the f-pawn can become weak, right? That's something they have to take care of. There is a way for white to try and attack that pawn from the side, maybe also from the bottom. It was open here, although the knight is in the way, trying to keep that pawn safe, but also it's obviously open from the side. Pawn there. Okay, white says take. I take, you bring out your rook. This pawn is a little bit less defended. We both have a file, but this spot is protected by the queen, so white could move their rook and there would be no immediate check. I say immediate because these things could change pretty quickly, right? Now, you like white? Interesting. I don't know if I like white as such, but I feel so worried to put out an idea that things would be okay and it turns out that things go bad, because I saw the lower bracket finals and very interesting games. They took a swing very quickly. You'd think the one side was winning, but because the game moves so quick, you know, they try and see what they can and they obviously try and work down the line they want to go into. And if you're not looking at the same line when they play it, you're kind of assuming it's good. Alright, black's coming in. Not afraid of that check back there. That would be a queen trade, but getting the queens off the board is probably a win for black, I would say. I don't think white could win this game if the queens come off, so a little bit of a cheeky move, but makes sense. Hey Mark, thanks for joining, man. Yeah, I'm sitting in Goto. It is freezing tonight, right? Goodness me. It's so cold. The traditional house, you know, there's the house's shrine. Good stuff. I hope you're nice and warm over there in Fukuoka, man. And good to see you back on YouTube as well. And that the lady's still around. Well done, keeping things steady. Oh man. Alright. White takes, obviously not going to go trade the queens. Black takes back, now forcing the queens to move or take again. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Transa, you said you like white, but I think black's finding a way, hey? And as I said, these games go so quick. Okay, so I can actually see not only threatening to trade the queens, yeah, but also threatening to potentially win the b pawn and so on. So yeah, I think white had to trade there or find a way to. Well, they couldn't defend the e pawn either. Yeah, so I think black has kind of untangled the dangers that white posed at the opening of this game. It looks like a lot of moves to free bishop if knight doesn't move. It's 2 moves. It's not a lot. Just depends where you want to free him to, right? It's 1, 2 and you're out. Alright. Okay, white's going for the activity. Yeah, okay. Black's relaxing a bit. They're up on time. They're starting to whisper a little bit. They're saying they think that they're just a little bit better right now, and it's true. Although there might be some ways for white still to complicate things a little bit. F-pawn will be weak with this, which will mean that there might be a way for white to make an entrance, although black would be able to just push that a-pawn down. Unfortunately, they played a6 already, right? So they can't play an immediate a5. They have to just move it down as if it's on a starting square. Nothing faster. yeah. I mean, I feel that Translate, when you like, oh no, for sure this side's better, and then immediately you're like, oh okay, never mind, maybe not. So it happens. Yeah, the rapid games can change really quickly. I don't think black's gonna want to take a draw here. Clearly they're better, but they still have to find a way to win, right? And being better against someone who's like 250 points higher rated than you, you're probably not gonna want to just take the draw. What's the problem with blocking with the bishop and then taking your... Yeah, okay, so then putting your king up on g7 later on. No, yeah, like black now. Come on, Trazu, stick with your games, man. Keep it together. Don't give in immediately. But yeah, so I think, black can do this. There's no immediate way for it to be in real danger. I mean, white can come after this pawn, maybe. They would trade their pawns. White doesn't have to take a pawn here either. Nah. How to do. Yeah, I don't think there's anything immediate for white. Coming back to defend the pawn. Yeah, look, if white's defending the pawn. The other thing though, the e pawn, it's already doubled, right? It's not really doing much. These squares are already covered as well, so it's not like the knight will get an outpost if you take it, but it's a pawn. It is a pawn. So for white now, what do? I feel like your king has to come in. There's an obvious check down this diagonal though, which is not nice. Where to go? You kind of want to put your pawn there, but you can't, right? There's too much already covering the square. Maybe just come over. Okay, no, it's just gonna go straight up. This knight is keeping these pawns stable, which is kind of struggling, kind of keeping the rest of the structure stable. There's no real reason to play h4 either. For black's perspective, I mean, black's up a pawn now as well, so if they slowly trade off, is this a winnable endgame? You can't push here. Well, you could. You'll have to sack a pawn to gain a passer, right? So you probably... white would take with the e pawn, because this would be a single passer, whereas this would be connected passes. Unless you... No, you're not going to sack your bishop for the pawns. That's absolutely crazy. Alright, white's just trying to avoid making too many moves. Obviously not moving their b pawn as well, because it's keeping this square. They're stopping the other pawn from coming through. It's not a passer. Trying to see what I can force black to do. I mean, black can get a tempo on the rook there. Up, trade. White does not want to trade more, I think. Yeah, okay. Not coming all the way, not hitting the rook, not forcing anything from white. Just letting the game come to them. Yeah, thanks Mark. I'll try and stay warm. It's doable. It's definitely doable. I just moved to a different room which hasn't been warmed up yet. It's a little bit cold at this point, but it'll warm up as we go along. Although this will only take about an hour, I think. Or maybe the last one took about an hour. Maybe this one will be a little bit longer. If we get into tie breaks, maybe it might even be up to an hour and a half. We'll have to see. Oh man, what 3 moves when I posted but like black now? Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, black now too. Yes, black needs to take any chance against this 200. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in this case, black absolutely is going to try to take a win off of them, right? Because in the next game, who knows what's going to happen. And white is trying really hard to avoid making too many moves. Interesting in this situation, both players not really trying to force anything, not trying to make the other player make a move, right? I think that's kind of an interesting thing, because you could have always, attacked the rook, attacks the bishop. Well, you can't. Yeah, you could attack the bishop with your rook as well. I mean, in the long run, you probably want to put most of your pieces on light squares anyway, just to make sure that the bishop can't get involved too much. What to do? I mean, if you're black here, don't you just push your pawn forward? Is there any immediate problem if you do? Or you can come after the pawn like this. Okay, now. Hitting the pawn from the side. Still hitting this e5 as well. Although the knight's not moving, I guess, so it's still safe. Alright, so now black has to decide, white has to decide how they want to... Oh, and this is interesting, right? So for instance, if they try and protect the pawn this way, you can hit it like this. And you can't, you can't move here, because then they just take the pawn and defend. And if you go back, you give your second rank up, so then black can come in with a check, and then they can oppose you here, maybe. Or they can try and push you around. If your king goes here, let's say your rook's here, bishop's here, rook comes down. Where does your king go in that case? Up? Okay. Okay, white's seeing it. Hard to defend the beat pawn. So, well, let's trade off. So everyone's got their passes off the board. But now the trick obviously is you've got activity from black, and white's knight isn't active, it's defensive. Not bad defensive, but unfortunately it can't really do too much. Which way do you run? You go up. You can get checked here. Dangerous times. Anything for black immediately? You've got a check here, which is quite dangerous. Bishop f2. Where do you run to? Okay, I think white is going to be in some trouble. Black looks like they found something. Fabian! Hey! Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming past. I missed you the other stream. Alright. Black's find a continuation. I don't know if you guys see it here. If you take, what can black do? What happens after this? And the king can't run anyway. Beautiful, right? You take, I check. You have to get off of this diagonal. You can't go forward. You have to go sideways. I check you again. You can't go forward. You can't go down. It's GG. You have to block with your knight, and I take it. Really nice find by black. Oh, GG. Alright, white gives in. GG for the underdog. Amazing stuff. Well done taking that first game. But I'm sure it's not over yet. Let's get back into it. Second game. Alright. Colors reversed. So 0-1. Maybe I should put a little score sheet in, but I think the games are going to be too fast for me to actually do that, so we'll just be watching instead. Alright, what we got? Sicilian by black. I'm a Sicilian player, and white plays knight 2, knight b, knight a3. What in the world is that? I'm sure that's a move, you know, it's not losing, but it's clearly not strong theory, right? Very interesting. Does anyone know if there's a specific name for this? What else can you do? If you don't play this way, you could still go there maybe in long term. Okay. What to do? Alright, black do nothing special. They're just putting their knight out. They're gonna put out their darks with bishop. They're gonna fianchetto. Yeah, nice for the underdog to win a game. I like to see that because I assume that they're also gonna lose some, so fun to have that because it definitely extends it, right? We'll see a little bit more. Okay, I see. So the point of knight a3 is that you can play c3 and play like kind of like a, what is this, like a Rossolimo? I mean, c3 is a move in the Rossolimo, but not something I know so well. But I do actually play almost the exact same way when I play against the Rossolimo. Yeah, knight a3, confusing the audience. The Kronberger variation. Thank you very much, Abigail Rabbit. Appreciate it. I didn't want to get into the analysis screen to look. I mean, if we swap around, this is how I play against the Rossolimo. So for me, this is just a Rossolimo anyway. But from the white side, looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Yeah, knight 3 is literally not a move in this Rossolimo position. No, I mean, I don't think it's a move in the Rossolimo position, but I think there is, you know, a lot of variations in the Rossolimo which look similar to this. Basically, with this situation coming out and then c3. But normally in those cases, I think you still have your knight on b1. I don't think you've moved it yet, if I'm correct. Fabian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. Over the board improvisation. I don't know, this is just maybe some sideline, right? In rapid games, you don't want to play your absolute mainline stuff because everyone knows it. And actually, we did see some mainlines coming out in the lower bracket finals, which again, if you haven't seen it, highly recommend you have a look. It was really good. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything specifically wrong with it. It's just probably not the most optimal way to play, but I mean, a lot of ways that you find wins in chess is by playing slightly less optimally and just your opponent not knowing what to do against it, so no big stresses there. The Kronberger variation. Well, it has a name, right? If it has a name, I guess it's kind of theory still. Yeah, and Weiss develop looks, you know, fairly normal. The knight can come to c2, come to c4. On black side also, I like it in general. I personally don't play if I was playing for, how do I like to take? Oh no, same. I do like to take back with the D pawn actually. This is a really nice structure. So yeah, this is all still very much. So whether or not this is called a Rossolimo from the white side, in the way they opened, black is playing a standard Rossolimo opening variation. So looks pretty normal to me. I also actually think that one of black's plans here is to break with f5 at some point. But I think normally you play d6 first because white has taken... Oh no, sorry, you don't play d6 first. Normally you've taken dxc, which opens up your light square bishop. And then you've got, this break, and you take back with the pawn, and you're just slowly creating a kingside attack. It's real fun. There's some interesting stuff you can do in this opening. Yeah, that's it. I like white's setup as well. I can see no big problems. Interesting, they never took with the light square bishop, and black now obviously just has to keep on working around the fact that they didn't get to play a more standard situation, maybe by taking with the d pawn. Alright, then white's going to trade off the dark square bishops. Okay, I mean, this is good for white long-term strategic, right? Because these squares would be weak around the black king, but there's no immediate threat of winning, I would say. I remember when I started playing chess, actually, in these situations where you trade off, I always hoped that I would take, and they would for some reason not take with their king, and then I could put my queen here and jump a knight in and just checkmate them. I think those were the days I was still playing the King's Indian attack, and yeah, it never worked. I was very disappointed. Okay, interesting. Well, black just says no, knight g5 for you. Just take control of that square immediately. It does reduce a little bit of complexity around that side of the board for now. Though, as I said, actually, I think one of the main moves for black would be to actually break with f5 at some point. Or even maybe, I don't know, with d5. If you take and put a knight there, it might get... Oh, okay, never mind. What am I saying? You need to move your king first, now that the f pawn is moved. Alright, I just hung a knight. Careful, guys, don't do that. Don't try this at home. I would say guys and girls. Sorry, bad habits. Okay. Okay, so I guess you're gonna take with your knight and then you're gonna just move your king over. Because it needs to move over. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, the black surely saw this, right? It's not like they didn't realize that it's gonna get pinned. But as soon as you pin, I guess you just move out of the way and then you can still take with the... I'll take back the bishop if you need to. On the other side, what would black maybe want to do? Black probably wants this to be open for their light square bishop, which actually we saw in the previous situation as well. Black had a really nice light square bishop for a while, but they had to trade it off eventually. So what, you think here, and if you trade, maybe the knight comes around to f5, or you get to play f5 later on, or I don't know, you don't want to give away this g5 square maybe. Yeah, okay, there, black takes their king off the diagonal just for safety, and now that knight obviously is totally free to run around. Black could also still force white to trade, or force them to run the bishop all the way back. Or that maybe this is something that they wouldn't be too excited about, having the bishop come out to the other diagonals. So maybe that's why you don't do that. Okay, yeah, we do see the knight coming back. My expectation was that they wouldn't push though, because it gives away a very important square, especially because these light squares are weak. So I'm expecting they're just going to put the Knight on f5 if they do anything like that. I do worry for black a little bit on this situation. You know, this is a very uncomfortable diagonal to have open after the f6 move. If you know Big Feingold, he does say never play f6. Okay. And white is ready to make something happen against the king on the king side. What would you do? This doesn't quite work. You'd have to play up your pawns in a different way. Take, push then. And if they push, you can push again. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the knight does come out to f5. You can take with the knight, which might be fun, because then if they push, you can take back. But they could also push again, and they can still push, actually. They can kick your knight away here. But now white has to be careful about this diagonal as well. This could get a little bit dicey. At the right moment, white could find the knight jump a little bit dangerous. Yeah. I don't know. Anyone want to weigh in on who they like right now? Don't worry, you can change your mind. Or you can tell us who you like, and then you can change your mind immediately. Transu if you want. So you can say you like black and then admit that you think white's actually better. That's alright too. You can use your own learnings from the previous round. Exactly what I was talking about. So here's the jump now, immediately. Hitting the light square bishop, also hitting the knight. Why is this worth it though? If I take your knight, what do you get in return? You can take here, and then what? You can come out with your queen to hit me again, and then you can what? I'm very unsure. Oh, okay. White also just was wondering, does black have this knight d4 move? And then they played it. What do you do in this position? Alright, well you take the knight, I guess. Okay, and then they take back. So they're still hitting your knight, they're still hitting the bishop. And this knight is kind of hard to defend because you're not going to trade your queen for two minors. So pretty good move by black. I think they maybe just win a pawn here, and also white's going to isolate the d pawn on a semi-open file. So yeah, I think probably things looking pretty good for black right now. I think that was a great jump. I take credit for seeing that there was something there, but I did not see that was the exact move. Alright, white does decide to defend with the rook from the back. So it's currently pinned. You don't have to do anything. So if you push and they take and you take with your rook, you can just open up more. If you push and they push past, okay, coming in with a check on g4. Oh wow, this is looking so strong. Black just increasing the pressure. And also this light square bishop has now turned it to be kind of not doing much, and this knight is still sitting on a3. Oh, the a3 knight. The Cronenberg variation knight is unfortunately not participating so much right now. Abigail, less hearts, more... Wait, are you saying white heart because you like white? Is that what you're doing? Transu likes black. You're the political weather vane of the game, Transu. Thanks for weighing in. I'm waiting to see who Transu likes before I decide. Yeah, I think this diagonal is really rough, and black's finding great ways to up the pressure. Hey, so it's pinned. I'm hitting your g pawn with check. You can defend it, but I'm also going to be starting to play maybe f5, breaking the position open. I can hit you immediately as well, but I don't think that matters so much. I think f5 would be the way that white tries to complicate the situation. Okay, white is losing a bit of hope, maybe, according to the whispers. Come on, white, don't give up. Alright, Abigail likes white. Abigail, I have bad news. I don't think white's doing too great. That said, it's rapid. Anything can happen. You know? Guys get together on a board. They make the time a little bit less. Things are gonna happen. There's a quote related to something like that from somewhere, but I do not remember where. Stuff's gonna happen. Stuff's gonna happen. Where does that come from? I don't remember. If anyone can take any inspiration from my very small move. Alright. Okay. I see the idea. It's basically just throwing the knight, unfortunately, though. Alright, black does take it, and now they're double attacking the g-pawn. There was a move here, they could have defended the pawn with their rook as well, but then after the push, and things got really dicey very quickly. So I'm not just sure. Alright, white throws in the towel. GG. Black just absolutely crushing them there in that second game. So the score right now is 1 each. And here we go, colors reversed again. Alright, so Akshak, player coming in from the upper bracket finals. Very strong player, 2400. John lost a little bit of rating right now. They've actually lost a bit of rating since the last two moves, the last two games have done. Alright. Okay, they're going for a little Reti situation. I personally quite like the Reti as like an idea because I play the Catalan and you basically just play the Catalan in reverse move order. I mean, you can always play any of these moves later on, although I don't know all the variations yet. Okay, and we see a little symmetric situation, some symmetry on the board. I actually think this is Black's go-to response because I think they did this in one of the games in the first game, I think, in the lower bracket finals as well. They were Black in the first game and they played almost identical symmetrical for the first how many moves. And I will say now what I said then, and it was true eventually. Black is always the one that has to chicken out first. You can't play symmetrical against white ongoing, because eventually white plays a move that you cannot play at the same time, because then they will take something with check, or they will take your queen or something. So, actually, the queen take is actually not correct. It's checks on the king. That's the place where white normally ends up being the one that's leading. So we'll have to see what happens here. Something that white has done that is not according to my Catalan situation is knight c6 without playing c4 first. So nothing's happening on this side. But I guess they were trying to find some way to open up the middle. I'm not sure. Maybe they're getting a little bit frustrated with black just playing the same moves again and again. Although the only variation was this. So, sorry. There's black can now play knight c6 and we're still in ideal German symmetry. We'll have to see. Will we see knight g3 again? Boo! No, knight g3. Knight g3? Did you mean a3? Or did you mean h3 maybe, for white to play it on the other side of the board this time? I wonder. Abigail changed their mind. Alright, Abigail, well, no worries. It's still, the score's 1 each, right? So you guys can still be voting for whoever you think is doing well. All bets are on. No worries. All bets are off. All bets are on. All bets are off means I think that you can't tell anymore. It's all up in the air, right? So I would say all bets are on because we could still be going. But is that the wrong way to use the phrase? I don't think you say that. We'll see. Benko opening. I don't know. They ended up going for like a... Okay, interesting. I like this. So I like this for black in general. I think actually on the black side, I sometimes play some... If I don't know what's going on and I'm black, I play basically this, like the reverse London, because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just like, this looks kind of safe and I'll trade off if I need to. So black's opening for me is very comfortable. It's slightly dangerous though, because actually they're walking into a perfect setup for white to push e4. When you put your bishop on f5, white sometimes plays rook e1 to get e4 in, and so they can break open the center because you can't defend it sufficiently. They're gonna get that break in. So what if if white takes now, they take with the queen maybe, you push. Now you've got 3 defenders, but I've got 3 attackers, so we're just gonna trade off. You're gonna lose your pawn, your d pawn for my e pawn, open files. My pawn is still pretty okay. I'll probably play c3 in that case then. Okay, interesting. So white played the knight forward, and black decided to play the knight sidewise, hitting the bishop at the back. You can take here and you can do this, but they might force you to trade anyway. Also, from my Catalan knowledge, letting black take your knight is actually not that bad, especially on a double fianchetto, right? Because it's hard for anyone to make a strong kingside attack. It's a little bit difficult with this like one pawn move and a bishop in the way. So if you let black take here, you take back with your g pawn and you play e3, and then you've given up your dark square bishop, but you've got this structure of dark square pawns. You can play c3 maybe, I don't know, otherwise maybe you want to open up. But yeah, this structure of pawns is actually not that bad, especially if they end up taking your knight. You can take this way, you can end up with a pawn structure like this. I mean, you can also get this one, but I personally don't think that's so good. I prefer this one here. Although this one does walk into that, I guess you can defend, and then the play maybe goes to the queen side. What to do? Will black let them... will white let them take that dark square bishop, or do they move it out of the way? Do they take the knight first, threatening a rook? Just to get like an in-betweener. You obviously can't move here, because that's a little bit... Well, I guess you could. If they play here, you could still take threatening the queen, or after the rook, and after they take, you can run your bishop back. Yeah. Another thing that's not so fun in the Catland is figuring out where to put your dark square bishop. There are variations, and specifically in the closed Catland, where you end up putting it here, and maybe the queen is here, and you're like fighting them on this dark square diagonal, but not in all the variations. So sometimes the bishop is just kind of in the wrong position. Okay. White says all good, take it. I'd prefer to lose the bishop and keep the knight on the board. Oh, and they take back with the pawn anyway! Guys, they're doing it! That is so cool. Okay, something else I see immediately, although I don't know. White did play crazy in the first game with them. They basically played like... They played this, right? They blitzed all their pawns up. Yeah, they're coming in for the attack. They're not trading anything. Just stopping the queen from being able to come into check and avoiding the trade. Although what? What if they just do this? You can't go back to h1 if they put their bishop there, because it's gonna come with check. So white might have to trade at some point. Yeah, if they do this again, black's got them in the twitch. Are they just gonna make a draw? I mean, what if black just keeps on going? It is one each, right? But maybe white doesn't care. They're happy to go into the tiebreaks 3-2 and just take it there. And before anyone asks, no one is allowed to offer to share the title. I don't know what the actual rules say, but we're not here to see people share a title, so let's not even have those conversations anymore, right? Just put it to bed, please. Oh man, hang on, I had some... Sorry, I wasn't looking at chat for a little bit. All bets are on. I like it, yeah. Dude doesn't have a single game with knight a3 ever. Fabian is checking on that name. Yeah, leeches just have a pretty good opening, you know, like database. So they might have some interesting ones in there. All bets are off. Thinking about it could mean either game is wide open or that the winner is obvious. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I don't know if all bets are obvious, which one's supposed to mean. Someone can Google it quickly. I'm not going to do that right now. But we'll see. Knight 2 a3 instead of Rosalima first, I see. Yeah. So Fabian, he did play 2 knight a3. That was why it was interesting. It was e4 and then knight a2. Yeah, so I guess you find it now. I was looking at the Rosalima with g6 and then nobody ever plays. Yeah. No, I don't think anyone would ever play knight a3 later on. That's rather strange. Although there is a variation where you play c3, right? And you eventually play knight bd2. The power of friendship. John said there is no power of friendship in the rapid finals. I don't know who the mods are for this, by the way, but I'm just gonna call it. We're not sharing anything. Yeah. Dress code completely optional. As long as you're not naked on camera, you're good. I'm in the same hoodie that I've worn in most of my videos, I think, actually, because it's what I wear in the evenings when I get comfortable. It's my pajama hoodies. So yeah, I keep washing it and wearing it for evenings. It's quite nice. I don't know about you guys and girls. I prefer having kind of like a set of clothing that I wear around the house. And not always because they're old, just because they feel very comfortable. So I don't really want to wear the hoodie out. I just want to keep it at home nice and safe and comfortable now in the nighttime, in the cold times. Alright, black spending forever and eventually plays the move that I suggested forever ago. So white can just take a draw here and then, okay, GG, we're going into the next game. I don't know if I specifically love or hate that, but I do think that when it comes down to the very last 2-3 tie breaks, probably the 200 what the 2400 player is at a slight advantage. So probably white wants to try push for a win here instead of just taking another draw and going into the tie breaks. So for everyone who's just joining us now who's not sure, the score is 1.5 each. Some Rapid player is the underdog coming from the lower bracket finals, taking on Akshak. And clearly Akshak is the one with the rating advantage, but the score is currently tied. This is the last 10 plus 10 game as far as I know, unless there's a change in rules I'm not sure about. So we're expecting to see, I'm expecting to see white try go for a win here, although they do strike me as a very methodical player, not the right word. Practical player. So if they realize they can't, they'll take the draw and go on. But I think this is white's chance to keep it within the 10 plus 10 rounds instead of going to the 3 plus 2 tie breaks. Yeah, and actually white just whispers, the way I said this is pretty much a must win. So they're not trying to go into the late game tie breaks. So I think maybe there the strength difference would count a little bit too much. I'm liking this from both, especially black's first move, playing h5 against g3, just putting it on the board, just you can't be careful, you can't be ready. White hasn't castled partly because of that, I think. And now black is just slowly taking more space because white has opened up with this hyper modern situation, double fee and keto. We'll have to see. Yeah, black just continuing very logical. White also got very logical moves. Oh, interesting. I didn't quite see this, but I guess this is also just to prepare to go down the king side if necessary. And also you could, I wonder. Yeah, you can probably jump your knight out if you need to jump here very quickly. If you start. So if you push here, for instance, and they push past, you can jump the knight, threatening the pawn, and this bishop is still hanging as one. So even if you attack the knight, I can take the pawn, threaten the bishop. You have to castle. I can move my knight somewhere else. Alright, white's also definitely not in a haste to castle. Tight, very tight. Black doesn't want to castle because then they can't launch their attack as smoothly. White doesn't want to castle because then attack might be coming. This is fun stuff. H5, Lasker Simul Special. Abigail, I think you're just making that up at that point. A00, is that even a real code? I'm not old enough to know the years of opening codes. And I gotta say, from my kind of small understanding listening to them, I can live without it. I don't think I need opening codes. Oh man. But then again, I've been playing pretty well blitz. Okay, well, we'll see. Black is just putting on the pressure. I think this is bunny ears, right? Someone called it bunny ears. What if you play 2 squares up on both sides? Oh, no one wants to castle. Oh wow, so what if you just don't castle? What if you just close up the game? Play e4 and you try and keep... Oh, I guess you can't completely keep it closed. Black can still try and open up slightly. Okay, alright, black is saying I'm not castling queenside anymore. Although, I wouldn't be surprised if black doesn't castle at all. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Oh, this is some tight games. I'm really enjoying this. The Echo, either the Echo, the ECO. How do you pronounce it? SO, or probably not SO. They always seem to be a bit arbitrary to me. They never help me with anything. Yeah, I mean, Fabian, back in the day, people had to like look stuff up in books. You know? Do you know the world of books? That was real. All right, hang on. Let's go. So finally, white decided to castle after they saw that black can't castle queenside, which means at least that they can't get the queenside rook coming into the kingside too quickly. And after that, black just batteried down the long diagonal with their queen and light square bishop. So how can they up the pressure? That's kind of the main point, right? Here, that could do it, because you could get your knight in and you'd open up the board a little bit. I'm not so sure though. If you're black here, do you... Oh, okay, I was about to say, do you just kind of like start pushing on the king side first? You've got the pressure down the diagonal, but it's not enough to do anything. Right after g5, where it's like, uh-oh. Yeah, here the attack comes. Although, doesn't h3 kind of solve your problems? Because all you need to do is you need to be ready if they play one of these to play the opposite one. Although I guess what will happen is they might be able to play f5 afterwards and then they would still break through one way or another. Oh no. And you're clearly not going to be taking this, right? Because your bishop is hanging. Okay, so you do decide to close up with e4. So even if whatchamacallit, g4 does come, you can jump the knight out of the way. Maybe we should jump it. g4 here, I guess. So you can look at the f5 outpost, because the pawns have passed it by. From a black perspective, this is slow, but I guess you want to open things up in some way. Here, you can't take twice, so you probably actually don't want to. Alright, black decides to push the g-pawn anyway. They can still castle. They can still castle kingside. So it might be that they now give up on opening things up and just decide to castle kingside and continue the game a little bit more normally after this very kind of suspense building opening, which unfortunately maybe hasn't resulted in quite that much immediate fireworks. Okay, and here comes black bringing their knight around. Are they going to try trade off the knights and then open up the f-file slightly? I like the idea, if that's what it is. I also don't mind... Oh, you have to cover this square first. Oh, okay, never mind. Black is not going to be the one to break first. White says, give me that. Straight f4. Alright, so if you don't take there, obviously, the threat maybe is just that this pawn will never be able to come through. You can completely block up the side. You can even start opening things up. Black does take en passant. And white says, I'll take with my rook. Are they doubling up? Are they bringing the pressure themselves? Black can't castle again to the queen side anymore. So they might have to jump onto the file here instead. Alright, so now black says, well, now you can't take my pawn back. That's tough. This rook isn't defended sufficiently. If you take, it hangs with check. Take, queen comes down. That is super tough. Yeah, very unfortunate. Taking with the... I mean, taking with the knight would be, you know, standard as you can get, because that would be the one to come back. Taking with this knight also probably good. Even with the bishop, probably basically anything but the rook would have been okay. Alright, very unfortunate for white. Black with the attack on both sides of the board is now just won a pawn. So you can, I guess you have to push past. You could do nothing, I guess. Just have black. No, I don't like that, because if you do this, if you let black take and you take back with your... No, you can't. This is triple attack. What am I saying? Anyway, if for some reason it's not... Okay, if you do this and here, then they can open up against your bishop still, and your rook is still hanging. So I don't know. I actually think that maybe pushing was better. And here you could have taken this way. Oh no. It doesn't work. Either way, black eventually has a way to open up the attack against your a-pawn. Dicey stuff. I guess in this case now, if you get another move, you can push up, and if they push, you can take here even. Just still defending it a little bit. Yo. Oh no. This is tricky stuff. Full of tables with opening moves. Fabian! You're showing your age. I've actually never seen of those books, I'm actually really curious how those look. I'd be very interested to see one of them someday, just to have a look. I used to go to the library so much as a kid. Those were good days. Alright. So white says, fair enough. I lose a pawn. Let's just liquidate the queen side though. Do they want to take the queens off the board though? That is something I'm not so sure about. Actually, maybe. If you're white here, do you take the queens off or do you keep the queens on? I think if I was white, I would actually take the queens off. Because my rook's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But black's also got a... Yeah, black's also not really got any specifically amazing situation. So they're going to come into these squares. You might want to have to stop them somehow. This one's covered, I guess. So here, this one's covered. So you can jump over here to defend there. Do you want to launch something yourself? You want to launch something yourself instead? Alright, does defend that square as well. Still get that f5 outpost. Not all is lost. It's not an ideal situation for white, but losing that one pawn isn't really showing as a massive problem just yet. But what to do now? I think for white you wanna... Could you reroute your knight back and up so you can come into one of these squares maybe? That might be good. Obviously the big problem now is that as soon as you do anything, black's coming and attacking your bishop, and they're coming in, they're taking this file. So maybe you have to go back and here and just trade off the rooks as well. Because the rook isn't what's keeping your position safe, it's your knights and your bishops afterwards, right? I can also see for white maybe here and then jumping in, double attacking the knight. So if you take, they have to take back with the other pawn, which just opens up the f-file completely, which might be nice for white because they can try and take this h-pawn and have connected passes. But maybe they have to take care of the situation on the queen side first. Just old enough to have bought one of those. That's good too, no worries. Oh man. I mean, it's kind of fun to have a book with all the openings, although I guess they've also been adding some interesting new openings over the years. Just, you know, like the Coffee Makai Frappe, whatever story wasn't really added in when the Masters were playing back in the day, right? That's not a romantic era opening, I would assume. They didn't have those back then, I would think. Yeah, but it's probably fun to have at a beginner. I can see that, Fabian, I can totally see that. I walked into chess straight online, so apparently I played as a kid, but I don't know. I don't really know that. I think white has to move their rook back. I don't think there's anything to it. You have to come in and just kind of take care of this threat from black. And then you've got these ideas over here. Because this pawn structure is still keeping the other pawns kind of at bay for a second, right? Black's gonna have to break down your structure, but they'll take a move or two to do it. Yeah, they're probably gonna have to play here first and then one of the other ones. So you've got a little bit of time, and by that I mean you've got one move. Okay, yeah. So I agree. Rook a8 is just a little bit too tricky because even if you move your bishop, that rook comes in. You know, you're pressuring the bishop on b2, or you get a check in on a1. You're getting to a3, hitting the backwards pawn. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of... Ooh. Oh, no. I was about to say, what if you play here, double attacking the bishop, but then you can actually just go back and force the trade. Okay, here comes the knight, though. And now it's something that... Oh, this is... Well, I don't know. You're kind of messing up their structure. Is that so bad? Is this a mistake from black? I don't actually see that as a great move. I'm not sure what they gain from doing that. Yeah, so obviously they've got the better kind of advanced pawn structure situation here. They get a lot of squares they can use, but not the worst. Alright, opening up, hitting the knight. So if you take here, I take there, hitting your dark square bishop. If you jump your knight away somewhere, you can't jump it to defend, you have to take. Okay, it's kind of unavoidable because the knight can't do any damage anywhere. If you go here, then I just take it for free. Wow, what a move. E5. So I'm assuming they have to take, and then take, and then take, and then take. And then white is just up a piece. Okay, no. Black's gonna drop the light square bishop instead. Any compensation for black. Coming in to hit the knight. If the knight moves, then what? Hitting the king. The king has to go somewhere else. Hoping for it to move away. Oh wow, you still have this as well, which is this. So after you move the knight, I guess I take this pawn and I hit your backwards pawn as well. Oh wow, what a move though. Okay. Yeah. Hitting the dark square bishop can come in with a check first. King has to move. Now I take your pawn, hitting your other backwards pawn, which isn't defended by your bishop. If you hit this, I can kick your knight first. Do I want to? Nope, coming with the check anyway. Winning the h-pawn. I'm assuming that's what you want to do, because again, it's not defended over there, so you have to jump it. You can get a check, but it doesn't help. Nowhere to go that's useful. You can go here, you're getting the dark square bishop. Nope, takes the pawn. Alright, takes the pawn. So black's got a ton of pawns for a piece. Tight stuff. This is some tight stuff. Yeah, very interesting play. E5 was a great shot. Oh no, my knight. Hey Jordan, glad to see you coming along, man. Yeah. If you read the book now, it's archaeology. Very good stuff. Anyway, as I said, I got in on online, so I have a board and that's why I started to play online, but OTB came afterwards. There was no OTB where I was. At the time, I was actually here in Nagasaki, but not on the island. And actually I played my first OTB tournament, which is still my most watched YouTube video, I think. Actually. My first OTB tournament, yeah. Alright, white takes the check. Black probably wants to go back to defend the pawn, right? There's no immediate extra checks. Yeah, and then you can try and hit that square again. But black is gonna have to find a way to move past. So this dark square bishop can't really go anywhere. If black puts their dark square bishop on this diagonal, then this dark square bishop is just stuck forever. But black can't move any of their pawns forward, which is a bit of a problem. A bit of a problem. There's a check there if they want to take it. Nope, they decide to go around, hitting the light square bishop. This would be a great trade for black. If they can take the light square bishop out, then they've got 3 passes. 3 connected passes. Pretty strong, if you ask me. Pretty strong. Alright, for white, you're up a piece, but you need to take care of all the pawns. I mean, your pawn can't really be attacked. White has to kind of like... Oh, black has to basically sack a pawn or something. Oh, okay, nice, nice, nice. Come back with the knight. So either give me your dark squared. Yo, this is some tight stuff. So basically, trade, I take, trade, I take. Then you've got 3 extra pawns for a dark square bishop that can't go anywhere just yet. Where would you do then? As the person with the pawns, you always feel like there's a chance, but actually a lot of the time there's no chance. It's so difficult to play the piece down but up pawns position. Oh, goodness me. Alright, white's infiltrating with the king. Strong play. Now they can take with the king here as well, which would attack this backwards pawn. Okay, hitting the dark square bishop. It's only got 1 square to go. But does that help you any? The knight... Black take your bishop. Yeah, oh, it's got no squares. What am I talking about? This and this is covered. What am I talking about? I thought you could run your bishop to c3. I'm seeing things. Oh man. Knight e3. Just in the nick of time. So even if you move your bishop out of the way, now white can move bishop d2, b2, and trade off versus just losing a piece. Yo, this is so good. Without knight e3, just losing a piece. I don't think black specifically wants to trade pieces. do something else. I mean, they have to move their dark square bishop, I guess. Okay, they just put it on the connected square. What's the knight doing though? This knight can't go anywhere. All these squares are looked after. If you jump here, white would probably take, because yeah, you've got the worst pawn structure possible. Okay, now you trade. And what, do you jump here and then when white comes in you take and you move your king forward? It doesn't really help. They can push you somewhere. Come here. It's very difficult for black to win this, I think, eh? Very tricky. You can hit that pawn. King's gonna have to move to push that pawn if that's what you want to do eventually. If you move, yeah, you can't come in. So move here, push here. White has to kind of run around a bit. Interesting game, really, really interesting game. What to do? And black is up a lot of time. Alright, yeah, here comes the check. We did see that. So white's got a few moves. This one walks into a potential check down here, although it doesn't look like it matters too much. But just gonna avoid any kind of complications. Keeping the king on the knight squares out of range of any checks. If black, is this the time that black has to take now though? Take, and then start running that other pawn up. I don't really know what else they have, to be honest. Yeah, the knight's keeping it safe, but you're gonna run out of options of what to do. You could also do this first, and if you take, I can take your bishop, so you can't take. So actually maybe b5 is the move for black. b5, okay, never mind. Black says never mind. I'm just gonna take, okay. So they are trying to break through now with their extra pawns. And now this is a tricky situation, actually. I think black might actually be in a great spot now. White's got a knight, but a knight can't really stop 3 pawns, can it? I don't know. So do they have to... What do? They check the king to come in what? With a check? And then what? Doesn't help. Take you away from the pawn. You come back to defend it. Here, here, you just run. And black queen's first. I'm not sure what this move is for, to be honest. What is white's idea here? Knight x... Oh, okay. Very interesting. I didn't see that at all. Okay, white's got a really, really sneaky plan. Basically, they're trying to see what the square for the pawn is that they have left. That is sneaky, sneaky stuff. Goodness me. This is some amazing play. I'm so impressed. Alright, black does not fall for it. So the trick there was if black takes the pawn, white sacks the knight. And after you take back, you can't stop their pawn from queening anymore. If you push yours, they can stop yours. If you move your king back, they just run the pawn up. So they would be winning for white. That would have been such a good move. Okay. Oh, is this just... Okay, never mind. They're gonna move first. Yeah. So black can't go take a pawn on these squares until this knight is moved. Because as soon as the knight could sack itself, then things are looking good for white. So good move by black in between, kicking the knight first, and then they can go pick up that pawn when needs to. Obviously, if it moves one more, they can still get it with the king. So for white's perspective, what's the plan now? You can stop these pawns from running. They can push this one past, and then you have to defend it with your king, though. Yo, and then black obviously can't let this pawn away. Where would your knight go from there? Sack. Everyone sacks a pawn. No, man. Okay, does white still have the same trick that they just had, but in a different way? Yo, 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 yo. You could have sacked the knight for the passer and been first. Now that it's not there, can you still sack the knight? Because white's got two passes now running down the board, right? Do you think this is winning? Knight c5, forcing black to take. Even knight e5 in that case, forcing black to take, and then you just run your pawns. Are you faster than black? So what if black doesn't take here? So look, if black takes, then white just starts running. You have to go back, and then they start running this one. You can't stop both. So I think from black's perspective, you absolutely cannot take. This pawn cannot move. So you have to move your pawns down, but then white's going to go and attack that pawn. Yo, this is seriously tight. Is white winning? I think might be winning. I mean, like I said earlier, being the one with the pawns up is really, really tricky. But, okay, I like this move for black. 3 connected passes abreast. I did just say abreast. All of these squares are covered as well, for the white king has to go back to go in. Yo. 95 instead would have been clearer. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we did look at 95 briefly. The idea being there, obviously, that you have pressure on the c pawn, but then in that case, couldn't they just push like this first? Or in that case, would they just push the c pawn directly even? So maybe all of this is just tricky. Alright, white continued. They've moved their knight all the way over. Now they're hitting this pawn. Black decides this is the time to go take the knight, sack it for their d pawn. They still have these 2 connected passes though. White really wants to take care of that pawn there, but they also need to stop the pawns from queening. Alright. So this knight's stopping these 2 pawns, so you can take and you can take and take if they ever move. These 2 pawns are stuck. So basically here and then. Oh no, then black's winning again. Oh my guys, who's actually winning here? Transu, tell me who's winning so I can change against what you're saying. Oh my goodness. Yo, this is tight. Alright, coming in for g4 directly. Oh man. Great move by black, getting on this row already. So if you take, and then they're coming for your pawn as well. Your knight does keep them out, but your knight can't keep them out of d4. Yo, this is some seriously tight moves. What if you move sideways here, then they come in? No, it's no good. What a game. Any tricks for black? For white. What if they moved their knight instead? So here. Oh, but then the pawn falls. Here. Here. Here, take. Up. Then what does black to get out of the way? So they just move up 1. Oh man! I think white might be losing now. And they're way down on time as well. Yo. White benefit is the knight can move, but the white king is a bit out of play. Yeah, I mean it's not really. It's down to the axis and the tempi now, right? White's in zugzwang half the time. They don't want to be the one. They want to be the one that gives opposition, because then they can just shuffle back and forth and get a draw at the very least. But to win this would be difficult. They'd have to place their king here and be able to take that pawn, or this. They'd have to take one of these pawns before, but black's got the zugzwangs. Yo, king d4. Yeah, black can come into king d4. Here. Okay. Oh, I like this. I like this. Playing the tempi. So black can't come in forward. So if you come across now, then I get. Then I get. Very, very good. Good play by white, trying to get the tempo back. All right, now you go up, but black's also still got b2. B2. So what? You jump the knight, and they take there. Oh, this is brutal. Came back again. You come here, they go in. Still trying to play the diagonals with the king. Forcing the trade, taking. Okay, but this is a draw though. I think we know this is a draw. Two pawns versus a knight. The pawn's on the 4th rank, so on the 5th rank in reverse. So if you sack for it, isn't this a draw? Yeah, black offers draw. This is a draw. Oh, GG. Amazing. I actually really didn't think black was going to be able to hold that together. That was great stuff. Well done by both players. I'm actually just really quickly want to... Okay, now hang on. We don't have time. We can't analyze. We have to just get to the game, guys. Just get to the game. Get to the game. Okay, hang on. Let's see what's happening. I think... Nope, they're already gone. Alright. So I think they have to play tie breaks now. Give me 1 second. Tie breaks? I think that's what's happening now. Or do they go back into a central... So this is something I'm not sure about. Is it a Swiss system where black comes in with a match point and white has to win twice to win? Or is it just a one match, which I assumed? Could be wrong. I guess we'll see in a second. I guess we will see in a second. What a game though, goodness me. Lasker Simul Special. I can't believe that's actually a name. That's silly. Interesting stuff. Yo. Okay, well look, if we have a second, I'm actually just going to drop into the analysis quickly. I'm so keen to know if it was always holdable or not. Okay. Okay, it looks like they are going to go 3+2. We're just going to quickly try and check what the analysis says here. Does it show? It does show. Oh yeah, you can see the full board. Yeah, that was a great game. Oh my goodness. Hang on, I just need to refresh. Sometimes the analysis board doesn't show well. No, it's fine. Okay, so black was winning. Is this the wrong game? This is the wrong game. What am I doing? Silly me. This is the one I wanted to look at. Here we go. White was crushing. Oh no, the brilliant move is not winning. What about the other way? Is it a single move? Only move to win. What about this way? Oh, this way still wins. Oh, that is unfortunate. They chose the one knight move that doesn't win anymore. After this, you go pick it up. If you take it with the king, this one's squares. If you take it with this, then this one starts running up. Wow, that is unlucky. Very, very unlucky. Okay, so quick break while we figure out what's happening here. I'm going to go back and just chat with the players. So give me 2 seconds just to see what's going on. I'm just going to hide the window so you don't have to look at all of that. So 2 seconds. Alright, looks like we're going live. Never mind. No need to wait anything. Alright, put that board back on the table. Let's go already. Alright, so it's down to the 3+2 tie breaks, guys. Oh my goodness. Those are some amazing games. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm so chuffed that we got to see that. That was so much fun. Oh wow. Okay. Alright, 3+2. Alright, here we go. We're going in. Somerapidplayer is white. Opening up with the Limzo Larsen, I guess. Alright, black just goes symmetrical. Oh, sorry. Akshak is white. And you know how I know? Because Somerapidplayer loves playing symmetrically. They always copy the opponents, it seems. Alright. Yeah, still pretty good. White deviates first fully by putting some pressure on the board with d4. Alright, knight bd2. Oh man. Okay, rook over. I like this by white. Just getting all of the pieces developed. c5, cracking open the center. White's just coming in for the throat. They are looking for some aggressive moves. And this is a tricky one now, because you can take and you've got these isolated pawns, these hanging pawns, what am I saying? That will be quite difficult. If you take yourself, things might look some good. Okay, black decides to develop their queen and just put pressure on the A pawn. Alright. Also somewhat necessary because they need to get their rooks in the game on the C and D files. If I was black right now, I think I might take actually. Just force things to open up. Instead, nice attacking move over here. This pawn is defended, but what are you actually doing then after they take your pawn? A little trick there somewhere. You obviously got this as well. And then the queen would be stuck. That would be fantastic. Queen trap on the A2 pawn. Alright, so black didn't fall for the trick, and now they do have the hanging pawns. Alright, hanging pawns are really strong because they control a lot of squares, but unfortunately as soon as you make them move or they break them up, they become a lot weaker, because the backwards pawn can't be defended except with pieces. And these hanging pawns are on open files, so I think long run this is looking pretty good for white, because those babies are not going to be sticking around too long. Alright, and indeed white gets the king off the back. When we bring the other rook over, just opening up to the attack on these hanging pawns now. They also have this jump ever if they need it. Currently don't. Black's just got a knight that's slightly less active, while white also has one. This is something they could do. They could trade off and get the other knight over then as well if they wanted to, but maybe no immediate need to do that. I don't know. If I was black, I would be very excited to liquidate my pawns. I don't know, maybe even here just everyone's got some isolated pawns. Isolated pawn, they would be... No, that's just dropping, unfortunately. Yeah, you can't push. But I would want to... I don't know, using hanging pawns is so tricky, guys. By the way, hanging pawns, awesome guy, right? I really like his content. Alright, black is trying to at least get one of them reconnected on the E file, so to speak. No force, but no, no choice but to share the title. Transa, you get out. You get out now. Oh goodness, sacking the exchange. Checking it out. So trade the queen, sack the exchange on the knight, and then after you taking the bishop as well. You can take the bishop, but it's hitting your queen. And amazing find by black, really quick, winning the exchange back. And now black's gonna have an isolated pawn, and in fact are down a pawn. Amazing find. What can black do? Nothing. They have to get out of the way. We're gonna miss stuff, but I just want to say over here, white saw this. Great stuff. Okay, there goes the exchange. So equal-ish material, but black's got an isolated pawn and a downer pawn, and that is a great find again by white. Yo, just coming in for the attack. They had two moves to kind of defend everything. Yo. Serious stuff. You can't put here, you can put your queen up, I guess, but I'd still mess up your pawns. This is actually looking very strong. What does black do against this? Queen e5. Pawn up? Doesn't look like you have too many other options. Then I can attack your pawn in multiple ways. Alright, but white's thinking. White's not just moving. Obviously there's a nice move for black if they can get the pawn, the rook defended to some degree. Lift for the king. Luft for the king. Where to go? So you can't move your bishop because your rook's undefended. So do you move your king over? Do you move your queen somewhere to connect with your bishop so you can move your rook? Black's in a bit of a bind here. What to do? A feet. Welcome to the stream, man. Thanks for coming past. Hope you're doing well. I saw that beautiful drawing that Jim made of you with the little, I guess that's a Barbie doll with the massive feet at the bottom. That was pretty good. Real obvious. Okay, so you say rule is that Akshak is the winner's bracket. So they, oh, so random player has to win 2 series? Oh, that is rough. Slightly fair though, because Akshak has just won everything. So that is kind of the normal setup. Okay, and black says trade me my queens. Okay, not going to trade queens, going to attack your pawn instead. Difficult to defend that pawn. Need to move your queen again, or you need to move your rook into a bit of an unfortunate position. Or you can move the pawn up, a6 I guess. Anything better? Black's getting really low on time already. Okay, here we can also see the strength difference, by the way. You can see there 2000 is at 2300. So again about a 300, 250. About 250 point difference. Okay, sack a pawn, bring a queen in. Okay, not a bad move. You can get rook a2, rook a8 to hit the a2 pawn. Might be useful. What else can you do? You can't hit anything else. Okay, okay, I was going to say that move is still available, but right now the queens are being forced to be traded if they do that. Okay, white does not want to trade, and they still stay in the diagonal, right? So they're really close here to the king. Okay, just defending. You see the white is going super low. This is the move I was looking at, to go here to put pressure, but white's ready for it. Already played the rook over. Oh, interesting find. And white immediately sees that move as well, just defending. So they're not going to take and give a check away, because then I think you might actually fall into a potential perpetual. Down to 5 seconds, really tight now. Gotta move really quickly. I can't, by the way. I'm really bad at moving very quickly. 2 seconds, 1 second, quick move. Attack the pawn with the bishop. Queen comes up attacking the bishop. Queen defends the bishop. Can't take the pawn obviously because it's defended by a bishop. Oh, this is very tight. Very, very tight. Keeps on pushing the pawn. Can't push it anymore though. Just attacking everything. Nice find with the bishop. But what happens now if you play a2? a7. Oh, a7. What happens after a7? Can't trade queens. Any checks? Can take the bishop. Black resigns. GG. One more game, guys. This is gonna go quick. Some rapid player. Let's go. Blitz. Alright, so Akshak showing their strength. Knight f3. And now Akshak's the one going for a little bit of symmetry. Oh, never mind. e6 immediately different. Alright, another kind of Limzo Larsen setup. Basically the same thing that just got played. This is also very similar to what White played in the 10+10 game, actually. Okay. Okay, both players just developing super quickly and also not being very aggressive, right? They're just getting all their pieces off the back rank. Not putting any tension on the board. Now it's back to white to figure out what to do. Move the rooks. Okay. I mean, I feel like here... Okay, black's gonna move their knight around maybe here. Or they're trying to break. Which is it? Oh, they trade off the light square bishops first and then they break. Okay, interesting. Yeah, slightly worse for white strategically, right? Because these squares are slightly weaker now around the king versus black not having those weaknesses. We'll see. Is it 2 games? I feel like this might be a must-win for white now, actually. I'm not sure if they can lose this game and continue. I forgot if the tie breaks 2 games or 1 game. Tight stuff. Black's got really good positioning with their knights over there as well. Very safe. What to do? Any calls who you like right now? Welcome to Change Your Mind again as always, guys. No stress. No pressure. I saw a little heart. Was it a white heart? Abigail, is that you? Are you liking white again? Alright, now it's black thinking. As the positions go, I feel like black got a little bit more of a standard setup. I mean, it's technically symmetrical, but black's moved less of their pawns around their king, whereas white has pushed everything up the board. Now e3, f4, g3, h3. Alright. It was you, Abigail, wasn't it? Appreciate the reaction. Alright, White's just slowly moving the queen in, getting a bit active, trying to find a way to make some pressure realize, I guess. Alright, and White's first to break. You're very aggressive. f5. Obviously the pawn can be taken back, but that also disconnects your pawns. Your rooks, never mind. Takes with the queen instead. Serious pressure. Okay, but what does this lead to? Are you gonna pull up your... Okay, Black's happy to trade. Better pawn structure in this case. White's committing themselves to an attacking game here. They can't be trading things. White's rooks are out of play a bit. I mean the c8 rook for Black isn't exactly in play. Or is this a little bit earlier, Jordan? Obviously the F file is semi-opened up as well. You mean that they were not staring at anything immediate. I get that, fair enough, yeah. So the C rook wasn't active, but the D rook was at least open and looking down the file, whereas White's rook is not actually looking down anything. Okay. Good play by Black though. Stopping everything small. Stopping the jump. Before some moves, fair enough. Okay, here they connect their pawns again. Okay. White can win a tempo here, I think. They can also trade off that knight, and then they can jump here with their knight. Alright, Black's not going to fall for their tempo, although the dark square bishop is a little bit soft, so you might want to put some pressure there, but obviously now rook g3 puts some pressure on your queen as well. Although what happens after here? Rook d3, rook d3, queen b7, hitting the pawn and the rook. Okay, they do trade off. They do get the knight in. Yeah, I like that in general. I think that this is... I mean, overall, obviously, the dark square bishop is pretty strong. Oh, but a great find by Black. Just popping... Closing up the file. Now you might want to play g5 to push the queen out. Yeah. I don't know if it's good for White if they're playing moves that I also think are good, because I'm obviously not quite as strong a player. Up here. Okay, up here instead. You do open up the diagonal, but I guess you could just move your king. Okay. Ooh, all the way. You don't want to take. Queen takes here. Interesting, if you take with the pawn, would you take with your queen? I guess you would, because obviously if you take back, it's a fork and win the queen there. Do you push past? I guess so. Okay, so now if White had a few moves, this would probably be great, right? Because you get in there with potential mate. You could also... I mean, this feels really dangerous, but you could also play up... Guy. Oh my goodness. Here, take... Oh, this is defended. That wouldn't work. Goodness me, I thought that White just completely lost the game. Alright, Black says trade me. You kinda have to. Although you can choose where to trade, right? So you could put your queen over here. You could also jump in your knight first if you want to, although there's a check down here which might be uncomfortable. Never mind, trade agreed. Do you want to defend that knight or do you want to defend the pawn? Yo, White again down on the clock. Previous game again. Black is just so crushingly strong, sees everything immediately. Yo, I don't know. I mean, you probably want to walk your king up now. Yeah. Close up might be okay. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. You don't want them to open up on that rook with a check. Okay, maybe here so you can still try this. Okay, instead moves over. Sacks the pawn, unfortunately. Take. You got a check. And You're coming in for the 8 pawn. Oh, but this drops the front pawn as well. And if you move here, what's that? Just take, I guess. Oh, check this side as well. That is rough. Now you lost your knight. Oh, this is very, very tough. Up, take again. GG. Calls it in. Yo, that was tough. That was tough stuff. I think that's the end of it. Oh man. Wow, GG. Let's just see if there's more to it. Incredibly tough game, hey? Wow. Akshak just came out crushing. Blitz is so unforgiving, hey? Yeah. Queen trade. And then just slowly working in there. Beautiful play by black, obviously. Very, very strong. And obviously GG for all players getting involved, and thanks for giving us such amazing games. That was really good. Alright, I think that's GG, guys. Let me just double check here. Blitz battle, no one says anything. Rapid battle, sorry, I'm saying blitz. Well, it ended in blitz. Well, GG. Is that it? Let's see if anyone's got any other comments, but I believe that is. Akshak. Goodness me. I believe so. Great match. GG. Really, really good play. Very fun to watch. Alright guys, that's it. So we have crowned our Rapid Battle Season 20 winner. Akshak coming out of the upper bracket, just clearly a very strong player. Some Rapid player, actually this is something maybe just to see quickly, some Rapid player came into the bottom bracket already from the second move, from the second round. Where did they drop out? Here. They lost against My Name is Mund, then they had to play Duncan Klotfelter, Z Trainor, which unfortunately I don't know how to pronounce, Feet Barbie, who was in the chat with us for a little bit, Silk the Wanderer, and then My Name is Mund again, and that's where I caught up with them in the lower bracket finals, and now they played Akshak. And Akshak just crushed all the way through, right? What was their path? Duncan Klofter, Alexander Berger, I guess. Berger, Feet Barbie, and then they played My Name is Mund. Yeah, so I guess the standings would be Akshak, some Rapid player, My Name is Mund. Congratulations everyone, absolutely fantastic games. I really like that. And thanks to everyone for coming by to watch. That was some great games, really, really good. I'm going to take a break because I'm going to be back in about an hour and a bit. I wanted to stream some of our league games as well. Those are going to be way more relaxed. I'm going to be drinking some tea, we can chat a little bit more. So I hope to see you there, and yeah, congrats everyone who was playing, and good day to everyone here. Yeah, see you again in a little bit if you're over here. I don't know if anyone's interested in joining the Rapid Battle next time. I myself think that I'll sit out because I'm no good with the short time controls, but really fun to watch. The Rapid part at least. The Blitz part for me becomes a little bit all over the place, but yeah. Cool man, Mark, thanks a lot for hanging out. I can't see who's still here, so I'm really glad that you messaged, so I know. If you decide you want to just have more of my voice talking chess from about 9 o'clock tonight, I've got some more much slower games I'm going to be covering as well. But I'm going to call it for now, guys. So GG and thanks again. Yeah, Abigail, thanks so much for joining. Oh, sorry, that was Akshak. Akshak Patil plays chess. Akshak, you crushed it. Congratulations, so good. I'm off again now, so I'll see you guys a little bit later. In about an hour and 40.